Laura had always been a driven individual, passionate about her career as a graphic designer and determined to excel in every project she touched. Yet despite her hard work and creative flair, she felt an undercurrent of chaos in her daily life. Every morning she woke up to a barrage of notifications on her phone, a cluttered workspace, and a to-do list that only seemed to grow longer as the day went on. She would find herself procrastinating on important tasks, falling into the familiar traps of distractions, and even engaging in unhealthy habits like skipping meals or binge-watching TV late into the night. At first, Laura chalked it up to the stress of a fast-paced world, but gradually, the weight of these habits began to affect not only her productivity but also her overall well-being. Relationships suffered, deadlines were missed, and a constant sense of frustration took root. One particularly stressful evening, after another day where she felt overwhelmed and out of control, Laura realized that something had to change. While browsing online for self-improvement strategies, she came across a glowing recommendation for The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Intrigued by the promise of unlocking the secrets behind the habits that ruled her life, Laura downloaded the book and began to read. What she discovered transformed her understanding of her own behavior. Duhigg explained that habits, those routines we follow almost automatically, are not destiny. They can be analyzed, understood, and ultimately reshaped. This revelation ignited in Laura a determination to reclaim her life by harnessing the power of habits. In the following chapters, we'll explore the core principles of the power of habit. Guided by Laura's journey, we'll dive into how habits are formed, how they can be changed, and the profound impact they have on our personal and professional lives. Let's begin our journey into the science of habits and discover how you too can transform chaos into control. Chapter 1: Understanding the Habit Loop. At the heart of the power of habit lies a simple yet powerful concept known as the habit loop. Charles Duhigg explains that every habit follows a three-part cycle. Cue, routine, reward. Cue, a trigger that tells your brain to go into automatic mode. Routine, the behavior itself, the habit you perform. Reward, the benefit you gain from doing the habit, which reinforces the loop. Laura recalled how every day she'd automatically check her phone first thing in the morning. The sound of her alarm, the cue, led her to reach for her device, the routine. And the fleeting satisfaction of catching up on messages, the reward, made it a habit she couldn't break. Duhigg writes, "Once a behavior becomes a habit, it's almost impossible to stop. But habits can be changed if you can figure out how." Realizing that her automatic behaviors were largely driven by this habit loop, Laura decided to analyze her routines. She began keeping a journal, noting the cues that prompted her actions and the rewards she received. This simple act of reflection allowed her to see patterns, like how stress at work led her to snack mindlessly, or how boredom in meetings made her check social media incessantly. Practical tips: track your habits. Write down what triggers your habits, what the behavior is, and what reward you receive. Identify patterns. Look for recurring cues in your day that lead to undesirable routines. Start small. Focus on one habit at a time and try to understand its loop. Chapter 2: The Craving Brain. How Habits Are Formed. Duhigg delves into the neuroscience of habits, explaining that the brain is designed to conserve effort. When a habit forms, your brain shifts the activity from the decision-making part, the prefrontal cortex, to a more energy-efficient system called the basal ganglia. This process makes the habit almost automatic, freeing up mental resources for other tasks. Laura learned that her brain wasn't lazy. It was simply efficient. By forming habits, her mind was able to conserve energy for more complex tasks. However, this efficiency had a downside. It made her resistant to change. Once a habit was formed, it became deeply ingrained and difficult to break. For example, Laura realized that her tendency to procrastinate wasn't a personal failing. It was a deeply rooted habit loop formed over years of rewarding herself with distractions. When she was tired or stressed, her brain would automatically opt for the path of least resistance, like scrolling through social media instead of tackling a challenging project. Duhigg emphasizes, the key to changing a habit is to keep the same cue and reward but change the routine. This insight gave Laura hope. If she could identify a healthier routine that provided a similar reward, she could rewire her brain. Practical tips: understand your brain. Realize that habits are hardwired for efficiency. Change requires a new routine that satisfies the same craving. Experiment. try substituting a different routine for the same cue and see if you still feel rewarded. Be patient. Rewiring habits takes time. Consistent effort is essential. Chapter 3. Changing Habits. The Power of Substitution. Once Laura grasped the habit loop and how habits are formed, she became determined to change her negative routines. Duhigg introduces the concept of the golden rule of habit change. You can't extinguish a habit, you can only change it. This means that to break a bad habit, you must keep the same cue and reward, but insert a new routine that delivers the same reward in a healthier way. Laura decided to tackle her habit of mindless snacking, a routine triggered by stress at work. Every time she felt overwhelmed, she would grab a bag of chips or a candy bar for a quick dopamine hit. But these snacks never provided lasting relief and only added to her long-term health concerns. Instead, she experimented with healthier alternatives. When stress hit, she replaced snacking with a brisk 5-minute walk outside. The cue remained the same, stress, but the routine changed. The reward, a release of endorphins and a moment of clarity that helped her return to work refreshed. Duhigg recounts numerous stories of people who have successfully changed their habits by keeping the same cues and rewards. Laura's small experiment with walking soon spread to other areas of her life. She began replacing unproductive routines with activities that supported her overall well-being. Practical tips. Identify the cue and reward. For any habit you want to change, note what triggers it and what reward it gives you. Find a substitute routine. Experiment with alternative behaviors that satisfy the same craving. For example, try drinking water or doing a quick stretch instead of reaching for junk food. Reward yourself. Ensure that the new routine offers a genuine reward, so your brain accepts the change. Chapter 4. Keystone Habits, the Catalyst for Transformation. Not all habits are created equal. Duhigg introduces the concept of keystone habits, habits that, when changed, have a domino effect on other areas of your life. Keystone habits can create a chain reaction, leading to broader improvements. For instance, research shows that regular exercise is a keystone habit. People who start exercising regularly often find that they begin eating healthier, sleeping better, and even becoming more productive at work. Laura discovered this when she made a commitment to walk for 30 minutes every morning. Initially, the change was subtle, but over time, her daily walks boosted her energy, improved her mood, and even led her to make healthier food choices. This small keystone habit began to influence other areas of her life. Her colleagues noticed her improved demeanor, and she became more engaged in meetings. The impact was far-reaching. A single change had the potential to transform her entire lifestyle. Duhigg writes, "Keystone habits have the power to start a chain reaction, transforming other habits as they move through an organization or a life." Practical tips. Identify your keystone habit. Look for a habit that, if changed, could positively affect many areas of your life, e.g., exercise, meditation, healthy eating. Start small. Implement the habit in a manageable way and gradually build on it. Celebrate small wins. Recognize and reward yourself for maintaining your keystone habit consistently, as this will build momentum. Chapter 5. The Role of Willpower, the Muscle of Habit Change. Willpower is often seen as a mystical quality that only some people possess, but Duhigg demystifies it as a muscle that can be strengthened with practice. Willpower enables us to resist temptations and stick to our desired routines even when faced with obstacles. Laura had always considered herself disciplined, but she noticed that her willpower would wane as the day went on. By mid-afternoon, she often gave in to the lure of distraction, checking social media or indulging in unhealthy snacks. Duhigg's research revealed that willpower isn't unlimited. It gets depleted with use, a phenomenon known as ego depletion. Understanding this, Laura started taking deliberate breaks to recharge her willpower. She adopted a simple routine: work intensely for 90 minutes, then take a 15-minute break to stretch, walk, or simply rest. This not only preserved her energy, but also increased her productivity over time. Moreover, Laura learned that small acts of discipline in one area of life could improve willpower in others. For example, sticking to a regular sleep schedule, helped her resist impulsive decisions during the day. Willpower is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. Practical tips. Schedule breaks. Regularly take short breaks to replenish your mental energy. Build a routine. Consistent habits help conserve willpower by reducing the need for constant decision-making. Practice small acts of discipline. Simple challenges like making your bed every morning can strengthen your overall self-control. Chapter 6. Creating a culture of change. Organizational habits. Duhigg doesn't limit his exploration of habits to individuals. He also examines how habits shape organizations. In business, the right habits can drive productivity, innovation, and a thriving culture. Conversely, a collection of poor habits can lead to stagnation and failure. Laura's company, a mid-sized marketing firm, was struggling with inefficiencies and a lack of clear direction. Employees were caught in cycles of reactive work, and there was little alignment between teams. Inspired by the insights from the power of habit, the leadership decided to implement changes to create a culture of continuous improvement. They started by identifying keystone habits at the organizational level. For example, they introduced a daily morning huddle, a short, focused meeting where each team member shared their main goal for the day. This simple practice not only improved communication, but also fostered a sense of accountability and purpose. The company also adopted a system for regular feedback and reflection. They tracked key performance metrics and celebrated small wins, reinforcing positive behaviors and gradually transforming the organizational culture. Organizations, like individuals, have habits. Change the habits, and you change the organization. Practical tips. Implement daily check-ins. Short meetings can align team priorities and build accountability. Track key metrics. Use data to identify which habits are driving success and which need improvement. Celebrate success. Recognize and reward behaviors that contribute to a positive, productive culture. Chapter 7. Overcoming setbacks. Embracing relapse as part of the process. Changing habits isn't a linear journey. Setbacks are inevitable. Duhigg explains that relapse is a natural part of the process, and rather than viewing it as failure, it should be seen as an opportunity for learning and growth. Laura, despite her best efforts, sometimes slipped back into old habits. There were days when stress would overwhelm her, and she'd default to mindlessly scrolling through her phone or skipping her scheduled exercise. Instead of beating herself up, she began to see these setbacks as valuable feedback. Each relapse was a chance to understand what triggered the old habit and to reinforce her new strategies. For example, after a particularly stressful week at work, Laura noticed that her willpower was depleted, making her more vulnerable to unhealthy behaviors. Rather than giving up, she adjusted her routine, adding extra breaks and focusing on self-care activities. This adaptability allowed her to bounce back and continue her journey toward a more organized and productive life. Relapse is not the end, but rather an essential part of the learning process. Practical tips. View setbacks as feedback. Analyze what led to a relapse and adjust your approach accordingly. Be flexible. Adapt your strategies to suit your current circumstances. Stay persistent. Understand that habit change is a long-term journey. Consistency is key. Chapter 8. The Ripple Effect of Habit Change. As Laura began to implement these strategies, she noticed a profound ripple effect that extended far beyond her personal productivity. Changing one habit had a cascading influence on other areas of her life, both personally and professionally. For instance, when Laura improved her sleep routine and started taking regular breaks, she not only became more productive at work, but also found that her relationships improved. Her increased energy and focus allowed her to be more present with her friends and family. The habit of self-care led to a healthier lifestyle, which in turn boosted her confidence and overall happiness. In her professional life, the changes were equally significant. Her newfound ability to focus and manage her time allowed her to take on larger projects and lead her team more effectively. The improved work environment led to better collaboration, innovation, and a shared commitment to excellence. Laura's story became an inspiration to her colleagues, sparking a broader conversation about the power of habits in transforming both personal and organizational outcomes. Small changes, when compounded over time, have the power to create extraordinary results. Practical tips. Focus on one habit at a time. Start with a keystone habit and build from there. Reflect regularly. Periodically assess how your new habits are influencing other areas of your life. Share your success. Encourage others to adopt similar strategies and create a supportive community. Chapter 9. The role of mindfulness and reflection. Another critical element in Laura's transformation was the practice of mindfulness. Duhigg emphasizes that being aware of your thoughts and actions is essential for lasting change. Mindfulness allows you to catch yourself in moments of old habits and consciously choose a different path. Laura began incorporating mindfulness into her daily routine. She set aside a few minutes each morning to meditate and center herself before the day began. During the day, she practiced periodic check-ins, pausing to assess whether her actions were aligned with her goals. This constant state of awareness helped her make deliberate choices rather than falling back into autopilot. For example, when she felt the familiar urge to check her phone, she would pause, take a few deep breaths, and remind herself of her commitment to stay focused. Over time, this practice not only reduced stress, but also increased her overall productivity. Mindfulness is the key to intercepting automatic behaviors and reclaiming control over your actions. Practical tips. Start your day with meditation. Even 5 to 10 minutes can set a positive tone for the day. Use reminders. Set alarms or use apps that prompt you to pause and reflect throughout the day. Keep a reflection journal. Write down your thoughts, successes, and setbacks to gain clarity and insight. Chapter 10. Building resilience through habits. Habits are not just about efficiency, they are also about resilience. In an unpredictable world, the ability to stick to positive routines can serve as a buffer against stress and adversity. Laura discovered that the consistent practice of her new habits gave her the strength to face challenges head-on. For example, during a period of intense work pressure, when deadlines seemed impossible to meet, Laura's habit of taking short breaks and practicing mindfulness kept her calm and focused. Instead of succumbing to overwhelm, she was able to break her work into manageable tasks and systematically tackle them. This resilience, built over time through consistent practice, allowed her to navigate even the toughest days with a sense of calm and control. Duhigg emphasizes that resilience is built by repeatedly practicing behaviors that support mental and physical well-being. Each time you choose a positive habit over an impulsive reaction, you reinforce your ability to endure and overcome challenges. Practical tips. Practice daily routines. Consistently. Consistency builds resilience, even in the face of setbacks. Celebrate your progress. Recognize the small victories that build your overall strength. Develop coping mechanisms. Identify healthy habits that help you manage stress and bounce back quickly. Chapter 11. The power of a supportive environment. One of the most unexpected yet transformative lessons Laura learned was the importance of her environment in shaping her habits. Duhigg explains that our surroundings, both physical and social, play a crucial role in determining our behavior. An organized, positive environment can reinforce good habits and discourage detrimental ones. Laura began by decluttering her workspace, removing unnecessary distractions, organizing her files, and even adding small touches like inspirational quotes and plants. This not only improved her focus, but also boosted her mood throughout the day. Similarly, she reevaluated her social circle, choosing to spend more time with people who motivated and supported her. For example, after a particularly stressful period, Laura realized that spending evenings with supportive friends and engaging in uplifting conversations made her more resilient and energized. The combination of a well-organized physical space and a positive social environment created a feedback loop of success, reinforcing her efforts to maintain good habits. Surround yourself with an environment that reflects the person you want to be. Your surroundings will either empower you or hold you back. Practical tips. Organize your space. Create a clean, dedicated area for work and relaxation. Choose your company wisely. Engage with people who inspire you and support your goals. Personalize your environment. Add elements that make you feel motivated and at peace. Chapter 12. Sustaining Change and Embracing the Journey. Perhaps the most critical lesson from the power of habit is that change is a continuous journey. It is not enough to merely establish new habits. One must also sustain them over time and remain adaptable as circumstances evolve. Laura learned that the path to transformation is rarely linear. It's filled with setbacks, plateaus, and moments of doubt. Over the months, Laura noticed that there were days when old habits would creep back in, like a moment of mindless scrolling or a lapse in her exercise routine. Instead of succumbing to discouragement, she began to view these moments as opportunities for growth. Each setback was a chance to re-examine her routine, understand the triggers, and reinforce her commitment to change. Duhigg emphasizes the importance of flexibility. He writes, "The secret to change is not in a one-time effort, but in the continual practice of self-improvement and adaptation." Laura adopted a mindset of lifelong learning. She set aside time each month to review her habits, celebrate her successes, and adjust her strategies as needed. This ongoing process not only helped her sustain the changes she had made, but also empowered her to continue evolving and thriving. Practical tips. Review your habits regularly. Set aside time each month to evaluate what's working and what isn't. Be kind to yourself. Recognize that setbacks are a natural part of the change process. Keep learning. Stay curious about new strategies and techniques that can help you improve further. Conclusion: a new way of living. By the end of her journey, Laura's life had transformed in ways she once thought impossible. No longer was she overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information or trapped by unproductive routines. Instead, she had learned to harness the power of her habits to create a life of clarity, purpose, and resilience. The Power of Habit, by Charles Duhigg, isn't just a book about efficiency. It's a guide to reclaiming control over your life. Through understanding the habit loop, embracing mindfulness, and creating a supportive environment, Laura turned chaos into order. She learned that even the smallest changes, when practiced consistently, can have a profound ripple effect on every aspect of life. Today, Laura faces each day with confidence. Her mind is organized, her actions are intentional, and she has the tools to navigate the challenges of modern life. She has come to understand that habits are not just routines. They are the building blocks of who we are and what we can become. The power of habit is the power to change. Change your habits, and you change your life. Charles Duhigg. As Laura's story illustrates, the journey to a more organized and fulfilling life starts with small, deliberate actions. By mastering the art of habit formation and embracing continuous improvement, you too can transform your chaos into a structured, thriving reality. Final takeaways. 1. Understand the habit loop. Recognize the cue, routine, and reward cycle that governs your habits. 2. Embrace the power of small wins. Even tiny changes can create significant ripples over time. 3. Build a supportive environment. Your surroundings and social circle are crucial in reinforcing positive habits. 4. Be patient and persistent. Change is a journey. Celebrate progress and learn from setbacks. 5. Review and reflect. Regular self-assessment is key to sustaining long-term change. Now, as you close this chapter on Laura's transformation, ask yourself, what small change can you make today that will set you on the path to a more organized, purposeful, and resilient life? Your habits shape your destiny. Choose them wisely and watch your life transform.